series of sales presentation that we've been running through March. We're going to have another one next week um, on call centers, and then we're going to follow in the beginning of April with some technical webinars that Andy White is going to do, several different topics. A lot of them related to cloud configurations and the new soft phone that we just launched, as well as some other advanced topics in our products. So we're about 20 years old at Epygi. Started back in the year 2000. We organized a company in Dallas. We currently have the headquarters in Orlando. That's our building here, which we share with a couple of other entities. We're about 30 employees, 35 globally. We have offices here in Orlando, Florida, one in Dallas, and then most of the personnel is in Yerevan, Armenia, which is our design center. It is a product conceived and high-end design in the United States with a detailed implementation done in our design center in Armenia. It is a proprietary solution, both the hardware and the software and the packaging. We did not use Asterisk in our product. We just have our own voice processing call manager application, which gives us the flexibility to adjust it and create features that are a lot faster than you will be depending on an open source community. Some of our benefits, we focus on IPPBXs and gateways appliances for most of our first years, and you see some of the awards that we have below there from the IT Expo and Internet Telephony shows. And we did appliances under the Quadro brand. Back in 2014, we started introducing the QX brand, which is the one that we currently are offering to the customers. And back in about 2.5 years ago, we started offering cloud services, and we currently have 2 products in the cloud services that are complementary to the PBX line. So part of our benefit over some other brands is a close integration to endpoints, third-party devices, and actually we test and configure remote auto-configure actually many model brands and models from the most available brands that you see on the market, as you can see on the listing here. You know, Cisco, Snom, Yelling, Polycom, Mitel, Grandstream, Panasonic, Fanbell, H-Tech, Gigaset, and the new line that Alcatel-Lucent is putting out. So you pretty much, whatever you can find or the most used models of phones, we will auto-configure those, and it gives you a great advantage because you don't have to worry about that phone configuration with a product. You may just have to worry about setting up the feature set, connecting your SIP trunks, and doing a more advanced functionality setups. So the auto configuration goes a long way. You can configure pretty much anything else manually, like we do cameras and door openers and some other devices that are not auto configured. But our product, you can do with the auto configuration and some of the wizards, some of the easy parts first, or simple configurations, but it gives you the ability to do advanced, sophisticated configurations, particularly with our routing table, which you can pretty much do anything you want there. Okay. Now I mentioned a little bit about the cloud services, and right now we have a cloud monitoring solution. I have a little bit down on the presentation on that for monitoring not only appliances but cloud instances, and we also have our cloud PBX, which we call ECQX, Epygi Cloud QX. Pretty much the same feature set you see on the appliances, but this is in a virtualized fashion with some modifications to make it easier for phone registrations. And we offer it in 2 flavors, hosted in our own servers here in the United States with a portal, reseller portal. Makes it really easy for you to order instances and add and delete functionalities into it, extensions, call center, call recording, and so forth. And the second flavor is to provide you the software for you to install that if you want to run your own cloud structure. In this case, it's a very aggressively priced solution with excellent support and pretty much the entire feature set. So that's a very popular um, uh, product for us in the cloud arena. And the monitoring part we just offer as a service because it is a low bandwidth and we can host it accessible from anywhere. I'm going to have a couple of slides down in the presentation talk a little bit about the EasyMon today. Very competitively priced products, both the PBXs and the gateways, very reliable. We've been around for 20 years. We know our stuff very well. So the product is mature and our product is stable. And we have introduced a new, what we call Epygi Call soft phone. Is our own soft phone just released for Windows and Android. We're going to have a release for iOS later on this year, but the Windows and the Android are released and they complement very well the product line. Actually, we won 2020 IT Product of the Year, the Internet Telephony, in Fort Lauderdale in February. Okay, here's a picture of some of our PBX line. It starts with a 20, goes up 50, 200, 500, 3,000, and 5,000. Pretty much the number tells you the maximum amount of extensions that the appliance can handle. The QX20 is a little bit deceiving because it can go up to 32. But these products start with a base number of extensions, maximum amount of call concurrence functionality on the base system, and you expand by adding extension licenses, what we call IP line licenses for connecting telephones. So that's one of the expansions that you do with a license. We also have some other licenses for high-end functionalities, audio, conference, video conference, call center, call recording, barge-in, third-party call control API for controlling the system remotely, and some others. So, but most of the functions that you need for telephony are included from multiple location or multiple level IVRs, voicemail with all extensions, voicemail to email, sophisticated routing table, call detail records, call parking, intercom, hot desking, all of the things are included on the base product. Some of them are hybrid. The 50 and the 200 are shown here with RJ11 ports in the front with FXS and FXO connections, and the others are purely IP, pretty much intended to be connected to SIP trunks and SIP extensions. And then if you need any kind of PSTN connectivity, either FXS or FXO or E1 or BRI, here you can see our gateways. So they're complementary to the PBX. They will auto-configure or show up in the PBX GUI if you pair the gateway with a PBX. And we have a single E1 T1 gateway, very popular, either for connecting to E1 trunks or connecting to SIP trunks legacy systems with E1 ports. We see a lot of people using it in that context. Customers that don't want to get rid of their current PBX because of cost, but they want to use SIP trunks, they buy our gateway. For FXO to expand in those ports, for BRI ISDN, which actually this device can be converted to a ISDN PBX by adding a PBX conversion software license. And we got a 24-port FXS, popular in places where you still use analog phones. Like, for example, some hotels still have Cat3 and analog phones in the rooms. They can use our FXS gateway to connect to the PBX and have a hybrid combination of IP and analog phones. So we offer these gateways also in our product line. From an endpoint perspective, well, I told you earlier, we have tested all these brands, many models. We have documents in our portal that show you what the models are, what version of their software with our software and any issues, if anything, on any buttons or any functionality. So it's a big investment that we make in this in order to have better compatibility with most of these products in the field, and assist you in not having to worry about testing with these devices on your own. Not only SIP phones, but we do have door openers. Here are some brands very popular nowadays, and same thing with video cameras, Mobotix, Grandstream Axis, among them. Paging adapters, announcer devices like CyberData. For example, this could be alarm devices that you can strobe or have a sound if you get a call, or caller's ringing, or in case of an alarm. So these are all complementary, and on this school scenario, uh, there are an opportunity to integrate with these devices. So to us, what this does is that it gives you the opportunity to get in, leverage your system, phone system, and get into access control and surveillance by connecting to these devices. Obviously, the common denominator in all these devices is that they're all based on the SIP protocol, which is widely used, mature, and pretty much all this, the endpoints will register in our PBX as an extension, and then from there you can designate the functionality you want to do with them. Okay, so now jumping into the school scenarios, or pretty much the valuable information that we want to share today. Uh, we have not only basic PBX functions, but some advanced functions that we think are very suitable for schools and learning centers. Okay, and it doesn't matter if you're using on-premise QX appliances or cloud. We see a lot of the schools have on-premise systems. Some of them are on a campus environment where they got several buildings within an area, or buildings that are a little bit separated, but they do have VPN connections among them. I mean, with distance learning being a very hot topic, and electronic learning systems pretty much deployed, at least in the school systems in the United States, very widely right now. Their networks are very robust, which lends itself to very easily set up scenarios of or use VoIP in their communications, and be able to segment their networks for prioritizing voice over data. So pretty much everything is SIP, including the trunk section. And in many cases, some of the schools use centralized dial-in numbers with either small call center or reception areas for assisting callers, and they don't use local connectivity to any kind of trunk on their satellite buildings. They pretty much have it all centralized. So in any case, whichever way you want to do this, our systems can be set up for any one of those different scenarios. So either single or multi-site locations, pretty much a unified dial plan for. So for example, you may do, let's say, a college campus, you may do extension 200 for the chemistry department, extension 400 for, let's say, the liberal arts department, and so forth. Or if you do it by school, elementary school, kindergarten schools, middle school, and so forth. You can do that with a unified dial plan with Epygi. Redundancy is an excellent feature, especially when you need that reliability and you have several hundred extensions. With our redundancy, you can buy a base system and then a redundant system on standby. It is actually on hot standby, and synchronize with the master. In case there's a master failure, the redundant system takes over. Phones are going to be operating from the redundant unit, and now you can take the old master, resolve the problem. Once you put it back online, it becomes your new slave. So you can ping pong back and forth. But the bottom line is that you would not lose your communications except for just a few minutes while the phones re-register with the new appliance by using our redundancy option. Like I was saying earlier, with the phones, the SIP phones especially, you have audio and video phones. Video phones, of course, will let you not only do the audio portion, but also see a video image. You can actually leverage the use of the phone for many, many applications, not only communications, but specifically access control and surveillance. We're going to show in a couple of slides coming up here. But uh, if you connect you have security cameras on a school environment with their recording capabilities and recording triggers, you can also configure cameras as an extensions to the PBX, where you can actually access them from any audio or video phone and talk to and see the people in the vicinity of the camera. You can also set up cameras to trigger uh, on events to place a phone call, or in our product, you can have them trigger an alarm uh, that is essentially shared with the administrative personnel. So it gives the administrative people in the school a great tool for them to be able to just pick up this video phone and then dial any camera extension that they want, whether they have it on a list to dial or on a speed dial button, and be able to see what is happening. A recreational area, a warehouse, cafeteria, some of the common hallways, and just kind of see and do some surveillance um, to the people that are in those locations. So, uh, excellent opportunity to leverage the use of your phone system. The other device is zip door openers. Here in the United States, most of the schools are pretty much worked on a lockdown mode during the day, um, to try to mitigate these problems that they've been having with school shootings, especially people coming from the outside. So during class hours, they pretty much lock down the school. Any visitor will have to come in through the main reception area. And most of the time, they have to go through a door opener on the outside, get to a common booking area, and then they will have to go through another set of door locks, electronic door locks, to be able to get inside where the classrooms and the common grounds are located. So um, a lot of those door opener vendors, from Fanville to Win, Mobotics, Axis, have SIP devices that register with our PBX as an extension, and anybody on the door, by pushing the button, can call in to a certain number of extensions in the administrative area. Anyone can answer that call, talk to the person, and open the door by using their keypad. So again, leveraging the use of your phone to be able to reach across surveillance and access control devices. Paging is a very interesting functionality. Our system allows you to do multiple page groups. It allows you to connect many types of paging endpoints from analog output. We do have an audio out on most of the devices to be connected to amplifiers or legacy paging amplifiers, which are themselves connected to speakers. But you can also include in paging groups phones themselves, especially they can go hands-free speaker mode and then use it as a paging device. You can use cameras also, and there are paging adapters that are IP SIP based that either connect to speakers directly or connect to existing amplifiers. So again, there's a combination of devices that you can utilize, pretty much allowing you to get a good coverage in the school campus for paging. And then you can bundle these devices into different paging groups. You can have, for example, an entire school paging group on one extension, and then another extension could be a certain floor, Another extension could be the cafeteria or the playground areas on the outside. So paging is very flexible with our system. You can actually program buttons to do paging, and you can do also, for example, store and forward paging, which is a feature we introduced recently. So in this case, you can pick up, do your page, hang up the phone, and once you hang up, then the page is broadcast to the paging groups, like it happens in some of the airports. All right. WebRTC is another option. We support WebRTC server embedded in our QX 3000 and 5000 systems, and it is included on the base unit. Okay, you don't have to buy a license to have that activated. And we also have WebRTC server embedded in our cloud instances. So what this does is that it lets you or lets our PBX receive WebRTC calls from any browser that supports it. And pretty much all the browsers are supporting WebRTC nowadays. And so if you want to have a section in your school website for parents where they can go to certain areas, certain pages, and then you can have a pop-up for them to do a WebRTC call, then they can call the school reception or school assistance officer directly to their phone using WebRTC calling capability. Obviously, they're going to be doing this from a tablet or a laptop with audio, or they do have a PC with a headset, but more and more laptops are being used, and they all include microphone and speakers. So excellent opportunity to be able to get connectivity from your website to any extension on the PBX. Now, we do have a feature called Dial and Announce that is very useful in schools. And essentially, what it does is that it allows you to configure extensions on the PBX, virtual extensions that themselves, if they're dialed, they would dial a group of other extensions or paging groups and then play pre-recorded stored messages that are on the PBX. So a great example of that would be a panic button on the phone of a classroom for the teacher. If there is a panic situation like a shooting or some other emergency, the teacher can have a button program on their phone. And when they push that button, it would place a call to administrative areas and or paging groups, and essentially play a message, an emergency message, for example, emergency in room 210, okay, so that they can take appropriate action. And we can also do two things. We can do hands-free when we play those messages, and we can do a call interrupt. So, for example, if the principal is part of the group and he's talking on the phone to someone else, and there's an emergency page like that, we can interrupt the call and play the message to the principal so that he can take action. So it's very powerful functionality. You can also use it for uh, uh, impromptu uh, activities. For example, if you're doing a review, if you have a visitor or something that is not on a schedule basis, but happens often, and you don't want to just do a regular page and announce it, you want to do a recorded page, you can do dial and announce for that purpose. Or, for example, it could be a general warning like a tornado is coming. People have to seek shelter. Uh, so that's what we call here on the slides program activities button. So, but then there is a variation of this that is under schedule, what we call a schedule announcement. And what it does is that you can program, for example, the bells for change of classes in a school or any other activity that is at a fixed date and time, maybe a sport event certain days at a certain time, or for example, a yoga class in the afternoon, or volleyball practice, or whatever that you want to page or you want to call, extensions and play that message like a reminder, you can do with the schedule version of dial and announce. Now we do have what we call alert, and this is a little bit different. This is you have any pretty much any extension can call an emergency or an alert number. We usually use the example of a 911 call. So, and in a hotel is a perfect example. Let's say you have a hotel room, room 300, and they do a 911 call. So we want to place that call directly to the 911 emergency services so that police can dispatch the vehicles to the hotel. But then we also want to notify hotel reception that someone in room 300 has placed an alarm call. So that when the police arrive to the reception area, they know which room they need to go. So it helps in location services for 911. What we do is that once you identify the type of alarm call or alert call, then we can notify uh, via events on our QX, which you can notify via SMS, via an SMS service, or you can send a voicemail message to a general voicemail box. You can actually see this voicemail box as a flashing button on a phone, or we can send an email. And I'm showing here the example of uh, emails that you send to the mobile providers here in the U.S. For example, for AT&T, you can send an email to your phone number at att.txt.net, and AT&T will send you the body and the subject of that message as a text to your cell phone. So you can actually send text messages to your school, your hotel personnel or school personnel, um, sending an email via alarm, the alarm feature. So again, very powerful, safety-oriented feature that is very useful in the school scenario. Now, the new Eco soft phone that I mentioned for Windows and Android just gives you the ability for staff when they take their laptops home or in the hotel, I'm sorry, in the school, to be able to have their extensions ring to their soft phone also. You can do this either as an additional extension on the system. You know, they have their Eco extension and they have their desk extension, uh, two different numbers. You can use Find Me, Follow Me to reach both, or you can set up the equal as a parent-child extension, and in this case, it acts as your desk extension for both incoming and outgoing calls. So any incoming calls, it rings your desk and it rings equal at the same time. As soon as you pick up the call on any of those two, then you stay with that call. So very flexible. You're reachable anywhere that you are with your laptop or your desk phone using the soft phone application. Actually, with the coronavirus situation, we are offering a free 30-day e-call extensions to your PBX, your QX, um, to be able to mitigate the problem if you have to work from home. If you're taking your laptop home and you're using our QX, we'll give you eCall as many as you want for 30 days so that you can configure on your laptops and be able to be reached out if someone dials your office and you cannot go due to the virus quarantine procedures. Another feature that is very useful is our audio video conference. Now, our audio conference pretty much it is purchased as a license for concurrent participants. It doesn't matter how many conference rooms you define, so you can have as many conference rooms as you want. It's just a matter of how many concurrent participants. So you can have rooms with open to everyone, rooms with pretty much a password to get in. You can schedule conferences. In this case, the system will dial out to dedicated participant, let's say a school meeting, a staff meeting every Monday at 9 in the morning, for example. And there's a video option to bring in video phones or also add into extensions in the video conference video conference sets based on SIP, like GroundStream, Yealink, and some of the others have SIP-based conference room video systems that can register as a SIP extension. You can register them in our PBX and then combine with our audio video conference as a node. We do the video conferencing by switching the video image on the IP phones to the person that is speaking. That way we don't clutter the screen. You can get a better view of who's talking, a better resolution, and it's very, very simple. So another opportunity for schools with multiple locations to be able to use video conference. And if you use any kind of a school CRM, like a school directory on your program, and let's say you have a school officer needs to call different school parents, they can use our Chrome click to dial extension, which is included on the PBX. Actually, you download the application, you download it from the Google Store for the Chrome browser, and you install it as an extension to the Chrome browser and connect it to your extension on the PBX. And what it does is that you can open Chrome and you can open your school application for your students, and then you can hover with the mouse over your student phone numbers or the parent phone number or the mobile number, whatever you want, and an Epygi pop-up window shows up that lets you click to dial a call to that destination number, and it connects it to your desk extension. So it's a very easy, quick way to dial student and parent destination numbers without having to dial those on the keypad by hand. Again, it's called the Chrome Click to Dial extension, and it pretty much applies to any phone number you can see on a web browser window. Okay, a couple of slides on a visual here of the scenarios. In this scenario, we're just showing here connectivity of a PBX QX50, 20, or 200. It doesn't matter, via the LAN and a switch interface. And typically the switches are PoE now, because most of these endpoints are powered by PoE. It makes it really easy to do the installation. We show audio video phones with the extension numbers, some of them with panic buttons. This intended to be used at the uh, classroom by the teachers. Security cameras, door stations. As you can see, they all have 200 type extension numbers registered on the PBX. A paging adapter connected to paging speakers. So again, as I was indicating earlier, you pick up any phone here and you can dial this extension nodes and communicate with them. Or in the case of the door opener, push the main button there and have it ring several phones on the administrative area for someone at the door. Okay, find me, follow me. Actually, find me, follow me is just another way of distributing an incoming call to your extension, but you can have it ring your home, your mobile, your receptionist, your child extension, or your eco, whatever you want, all simultaneously. Okay, so it's another way of being accessible anywhere you are. Okay. Now, this other scenario is just illustrating a multiple building or multiple location school. Here we have, a school district with a PBX on premise. The school A and school B, all those are a little bit distant with a PBX on premise. They have their own PSTN connectivity. It could be via E1 or an FXO trunk, or it could be via a SIP trunk. And so they can get their local calls come in to auto attendant or reception area, but also you can have a unified dial plan and be able to reach school district extensions. Those are the ones listed as 400. School A is 200 and school B is 300. And not only can you reach all the extensions, but you can reach cameras in those locations also. Um, as well as, for example, have local, maybe school B is in a different city and they get a local call and, they want to reach, let's say, a resource officer in the school district. They may be able to talk to a call center, a small call center that is housed or operated out of the school district, with the agents logged in and log it out from there. And again, you're making the phone call from the school B location. So at the end of the day, you have your own private voice network with pretty much any possibility of connecting extensions to PBXs in the cluster and to trunks. Okay. All right. A couple of more slides and we'll be done. At this time, we just want to talk a little bit about ECMon, or Epygi Cloud Monitoring. It's one of our cloud services. What it does is that it is hosted by Epygi. You as a reseller buy a subscription per device. It is $20 a year for one device. If you're going to be using 10 devices, it goes down to 15 per device. But what it does is that it you configure your device to communicate with our cloud monitoring, and there are many things that you can do there. The first one is being alerted to over 70 different events that we have on the PBX, and you can configure this individually to alert you on the ECMon and actually send you an SMS message or an email on your phone for you to be able to respond to those events. Okay. I'm going to show some events on the next slide just to give you an idea what you can do. But these are real time, and what it does is that it makes you more proactive with your customers to provide them a better service. And I'll explain that in a minute. So you can manage your PBX configurations of your appliances. You can restore or back them up into the cloud. You can also upload them and download them to your PC. If you upload them, you can assign them to devices. So you manage your configurations. You can also get device ID, host name, what kind of licenses are installed on these devices, what software version, and how what is the uptime that the PBX has been running since the last time it booted. How many registered endpoints are registered on the device, for example. So uh, update the software. You can update it remotely. You can reboot the system remotely, and you can get some historical utilization of CPU power, as well as a number of simultaneous calls that you have through the system. So all of this information is very useful to the reseller to be able to manage the devices and see the status of the devices they have installed on customer premise. Now, one of the most important aspects of this is that you can access the GUI of your PBX remotely through this tool. So if your device is on behind the company router, we set up a VPN between the device and our tool to let you access the GUI for configuration changes. Or if you want to access the phones behind the PBX on the LAN side, you can do the same. So it's very powerful. It lets you again make changes to config without having to drive to uh, the customer location and connect internally, or set up remote configuration access on these devices by opening ports on your customer's router. So very well. Again, ECMon, very powerful tool, and here is just an example of some of the events. You can see if the system has rebooted. You can see if there was, for example, a credit allocated to a route, so many minutes or so many dollar amounts. If that credit is expired, that route is closed, you can actually get an event alarm for that. It tells you if there's bad quality calls, very important. It so happens that many customers have bad quality calls, but they don't really call you until they're very upset. With this event notification, you can be alerted if they're bad quality calls, from whom, from where to where, and you can be proactive and try to figure out what is happening in the customer's network uh, that is getting this bad quality calls before they get too upset to call you to remove the system. And you have to do damage control. So code quality warning, very valuable. If you have a redundant system and the redundancy is down, it would alert you so you can fix the problem. If you're doing call recordings and you send them to an FTP server and the server fails, you can get an alarm, or an IP phone is not registered, and so forth. So this, again, just an example of some of the alarms that you can get with ECMON. So to recap on Epygi, pretty much this presentation has been trying to explain to you some of the features that apply very well in a school scenario. But at the end of the day, what we're getting or what we can offer is a competitive advantage to you over some other products. And essentially, everything is done by Epygi in-house. So we understand our product very well and we can control it, the feature set that we want in it. We give you free firmware update for life. You don't have to pay maintenance to get software updates on your systems based on open standards, most notably SIP, compatible with many phones in the market today. We have excellent technical support through our ticket system, a lot of documentation in our portal how to configure our systems too. Mature quality products, very easy to set up remotely, especially with the ECMount tool. Low power consumption, redundancy options, always a feature that we add, and most of them are free with a software update. Again, integration with third-party software. We're going to be doing MS Teams integration information soon. In the latest software release, we're going to publish a document how to connect with Teams. And we got a couple of other interactions coming up with CRMs too. And of course, the complementary cloud services. So some of the cloud vendors just sell you the cloud. They don't have appliances. We have both. So you have that ability to some customers give them an on-prem appliance or give them the cloud. And to you, it's all the same system. All right. All right. Contact us, salesepygi.com. Here's our website. We're on social media, but more importantly, if you want a demo of anything, let us know. We'll give you a license, a temp license, or it could be e-call, it could be a call recording, whatever feature. And essentially, we can even do remote demonstration. For example, our call center, we have like a live demonstration of that gives you good visibility how the functionality works. So, but at the end of the day, I think with us, you're going to have a great product. You're going to be happy with our support, and we look forward to the opportunity to be able to help you bid on your next project. So, pretty much we're done today. At this time, I'm going to let the chat open to see if anyone has any questions. We will share the slides. I'll have Ashken share the slides, and this video will be also